Coming up, living small can be huge for first-time home buyers. We'll also learn how climate change can affect your business and find out why one local retailer won't take cash. These stories and more in this edition of Open for Business.
You're watching Open for Business with Jim McKay, a business news show that brings you information about commerce and industry in the four corners. Open for Business is brought to you by First Southwest Bank. We can help you get there. First Southwest Bank. And by the La Plata County Economic Development Alliance. Pioneer Spirit, Business Smart.
It used to be that the Chamber of Commerce was all that a community needed to promote and support business in the area. Now, an alphabet soup of economic development organizations serves business and industry in southwest Colorado. BID, DATO, SCAPE, SBDC, there's nearly a dozen different organizations in La Plata County whose missions are dedicated in some way to economic development. There are chambers of commerce in Durango, Bayfield, Ignacio, and Vallecito. We have a Region 9 Economic Development District, a Small Business Development Center, the Durango Business Improvement District, the La Plata Economic Development Alliance, the Southwest Colorado Accelerator Program for Entrepreneurs, and the Durango Area Tourism Organization, just to mention the most active and the most tongue-twisting. Each supports a staff and an office. Some rely on taxes for support, others on membership dues or donations. And that number doesn't include the purely non-profit organizations that support businesses indirectly with housing programs, education, or workforce development. Do we have too many compared with other communities? Local economic development experts say no. That's because the state of Colorado doesn't offer the same level of support for economic development efforts as a lot of other states do, requiring local communities to invest in their own economic development, which means multiple levels of involvement, says Joe Keck, Director of Southwest Colorado Small Business Development Center. In La Plata County, for example, the Economic Development Alliance recruits businesses to the area and serves as a central information center for businesses that are considering a move to Durango. Once the businesses get here, the Chamber of Commerce provides networking opportunities and education. If someone has a great business idea, they can apply to SCAPE for investment and mentoring. If that business wants to grow, the Small Business Development Center provides consultants to help with planning and marketing. If a business needs a loan, the Region 9 Economic Development District can provide the money. Other organizations like the Durango Area Tourism Office or the Business Improvement District market the area to bring tourists to the region. Bob Kunkel, Business Development Manager for the City of Durango, says that each organization serves a particular niche, from marketing to business recruitment to business support, and there's little duplication.
And a lot of times, these businesses will work very closely together. For example, the Alliance may attract a business, Region 9 may borrow them money, the SBDC, Joe Keck, they may give them training, and the Chamber then provides them opportunities to meet every other business in town. So they all do something very, very different.
The variety of organizations that support business and industry in La Plata County is one of the community's strengths, said SBDC's Joe Keck. Even Colorado Governor Hickenlooper points to Southwest Colorado's economic development efforts as a model of collaboration that other communities should emulate. You want to know more? Start with the Region 9 Economic Development District at scan.org. The Durango Area Tourism Office is still looking for an executive director after Patty O'Brien left the office in early January. For now, Bob Kunkel is filling in as interim director while the search continues. Kunkel, who also serves as the City of Durango's Business Development Manager, says he'll fill the role through June, primarily to support the staff while the board decides what kind of director will best suit the organization's needs. The board is debating whether it wants someone who rolls up their sleeves and gets to work in the trenches type of director, or one who will serve as an ambassador for the organization by getting out into the community. Kunkel feels that it's difficult for one person to do both. In the meantime, individual board members have agreed to take on more duties, including stints as interim director. Kunkel follows Alex Michael, who served as interim director after O'Brien's departure earlier this winter. But Michael owns the Mild to Wild Rafting Company, and he recently stepped down in order to get ready for whitewater season. DATO hopes to hire a new executive director by July the 1st. Brainstorming has long been a valuable tool for generating new ideas or building consensus. But how do you brainstorm when you're a business of one? Durango businesswomen have found an answer to this in the Business Women's Idea Exchange. The exchange meets on the second Friday of every month in the offices of Thrive Chiropractic, where owner Bethany Nickum facilitates group brainstorming sessions to help individual business owners jumpstart their marketing programs.
For instance, typical questions are, if I had a Facebook page for my business, what would you want me to put on it so you would forward it to your friends and family? But we've had women come in that have asked us, I want to change the name of my business. What do you think of this? And we're like, that's awful, or we love it, So it really is all across the board about different tips about time management or financial issues, and then the entire group then takes it and runs with it.
The exchange was started about 5 years ago by another local businesswoman who was new to town and wanted a fast way to network with other women in business in the community. She has since moved on and Nickum has taken over. The exchange is open to any businesswoman or professional, says Nickum.
So the Women's Idea Exchange I call the most Durango group ever, because there's no membership, there's no fees, there's no RSVPing, you just show up as long as you're a woman, as long as you're a woman you can be here. It's always the second Friday of the month. It's always here at our office at Thrive from 12 to 1. It's always free. We just ask women if they come like 5 minutes early, so we're not disrupting the meeting, because we try to start right on time, and then it's done right at 1.
You can find out more about the Idea Exchange at womensideaexchange.com. Most government agencies want to stop hackers from penetrating their databases, but in Colorado, the Secretary of State and the Governor's Office will sponsor a unique hackathon competition this month to make public information more readily accessible. State government agencies store a lot of useful information, but Colorado doesn't have an easy way for researchers to easily identify where that information might be and how to best use it. Inaccessible information hinders economic development because businesses won't move to Colorado if they can't find the data they need to make sound decisions. That's why the state has invited code writing teams to participate in the Go Code Colorado Challenge, scheduled from Friday, March 21st through Sunday, March 23rd. Each team will select one of 5 complex information problems to solve. The information challenges were identified by Colorado's top business owners and entrepreneurs in focus groups held last fall. These challenges include how to gather adequate infrastructure and demographic information to locate a business site, how to find information about the competitive landscape so that businesses can position themselves to stand out from the competition, how to find capital investors, how to find resources at the state's colleges and universities, and how to find the right business partners to help businesses expand and grow. Teams will be sequestered throughout the weekend to write the software applications that will allow users to query and access the data required to answer those questions. The code writing contest will occur simultaneously in 4 locations across Colorado, including right here in Durango, Fort Collins, Denver, and Colorado Springs. The top 2 applications from each contest site will advance to the finals, and teams will have until May the 9th to fine-tune their code for the judges. The competition is much more than a techie geek fest. It's a serious business accelerator program. The top 3 teams will win $25,000, $15,000, and $10,000 in seed money from Go Code Colorado and will be automatically eligible for an additional $250,000 in business startup grants from the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade. The Durango Challenge will be held at Durango Space, and numerous local businesses, including Ska Brewing, will provide pizza and beer during the event. For more information or to register, log on to gocode.colorado.gov. Cash is no longer king at one Durango store. In fact, it's a fugitive. Go Light, an outdoor apparel and equipment franchise, no longer accepts cash at any of its stores, and it's a move that's saving money, both for the store and the customer, says Scott Mosser, General Manager of the Durango branch.
What it benefits Go Light as a company is it cut down on overhead behind the scenes operations, such as bankers, admins. Contracts with banks is a very expensive process to handle as well. Also, outside of when you have more than one option of payment, we only have a credit card payment or debit card. When you add cash and gift cards and other applications, it costs more money for each location as well. So Yes, we cut out the middleman. Yes, it costs us money for that charge to have credit cards, which is a big question. It costs you more to use credit cards than cash. In hindsight, for GoLite right now, it doesn't. It streamlines our business.
Not only are customers satisfied with the lower resulting prices, but employees also like the cashless register. They don't have to count cash to open or close. And that means they can show up for work 5 minutes before the store opens and leave right after it closes. GoLite has 17 stores in Colorado, California, Idaho, Utah, Oregon, and Arizona, and none take cash. Most are moved to Durango in November and says Durango shoppers far prefer cash compared to other towns.
Durango likes to use their cash and they save it up and they want to spend it. Once we explain the whole scenario to them of how it's saving them money, majority of folks do go get a gift card or debit card from a local establishment to use.
However, cash transactions are on the decline. The Huffington Post recently reported that cash sales comprise only 27% of all retail transactions, and that's expected to continue to drop by more than 4% a year. Musser says he's encountered a few customers who don't like the cash-only policy. The store lost around 5 sales during the holiday season because customers wanted to use cash. But despite the odd grumble, most customers applaud the change and the lower prices.
A great example is a guy came in wanting to buy a backpack. He looked at the sign that says credit only or debit. We explained them the scenario and we started say more to explain to him. He's like, no, I understand. That's your rule. If I want to buy a backpack from you, I have to abide by your rule. I think it might be the wave of the future in retail. Cash might go away. I think majority of people do use credit now in any kind of establishment. So right now it's working for GoLite.
Durango's GoLite branch is located at 750 Main Avenue. A Southwest Colorado Small Business Development Center advisor and her client won top awards at the annual Governor's Award ceremony held in February at the Governor's Mansion. Cindy DeVerston, an SBDC advisor and instructor for the Leading Edge Business Program, was named the Colorado Small Business Development Consultant of the Year. Her client, Ken Beck, took first place out of 300 submissions for the best business plan in the state. He wrote the plan for his son, a veterinarian and horse specialist, who hopes to open an equine sports center in the area one day. DeVerston is a management consultant in Montezuma County who specializes in sustainable agricultural development. She teaches the next level leading edge courses in Cortez, and her classes produce the highest number of completion certificates and the best quality business plans in the region, according to SBC Director Joe Keck, who nominated her for the award. Beck, who took the leading edge class from DeVerston to write his award-winning plan, actually placed second in the class competition. The top 3 plans were forwarded to the state competition, and Beck's won the top honor. Beck, who retired from the Bureau of Reclamation, analyzed the feasibility of opening a center focused on treating injuries of Olympic-caliber reining horses. Reining is the sport of herding animals quickly and efficiently. Horses must be nimble and able to move immediately in any direction with the touch of the rein. It's expected to become an Olympic sport in 2016. And Olympic-caliber horses are worth tens of thousands of dollars. As an agricultural economist by training, Beck said he went wild with the financials, and that's what impressed the state judges. He said the plan also indicated that Southwest Colorado may not be the best place to open a sports medicine center for high-end horses and reining horses, at least not right now. Coming up next, a Durango man lives small but dreams big with his hopes of promoting the tiny house movement in Southwest Colorado.
We're Randy and Micah Jackson in Alamosa, Colorado. Our business is rustic log furniture. We've been doing business since 1996, and we started out building 2x4 porch swings, and it turned into log porch swings, and now we do log furniture for pretty much any room of the home.
Our business has been steadily growing over the years, and it's still continuing to grow. We ship to 40 states. We have approaching 200 retail stores that we furnish with our products, and we ship out a semi-load every other day of furniture. As we outgrew our current facility, we needed to expand dramatically. So I was meeting with the people from First Southwest Bank. They proposed, we go ahead and run the numbers on doing an expansion. They came in good, so we did it, and that's problem solved.
So talking square footage wise, we've gone from a 12 by 12 tough shed to over 60,000 square feet. Given our experience with First Southwest Bank, I would definitely recommend them to other businesses. It's been great to work with someone local. Delzy's been great to work with. She's really been proactive in helping us just facilitate the process of getting the loan.
And so she really helped take a lot of stress away by making recommendations of what they can do to help us ease the stress and focus on what we really need to do.
This is our there.
You're watching Open for Business. I'm Jim Mackay. Greg Parham lives in a house that barely encompasses 150 square feet, not counting his porch. But the owner of Rocky Mountain Tiny Houses believes his small homes offer a way for young adults to break into the Durango housing market while living a more ecologically sustainable lifestyle. Then, stay tuned to hear more from the new director of the San Juan Citizens Alliance about the impact that climate change will have on small businesses.
I'm Greg Parham. This is Rocky Mountain Tiny Houses. So I got interested in the tiny house movement probably about 3 years ago. I've always been interested in living small, living within your means, living more affordably, especially in a town like Durango, where entry-level houses are $250,000 to $300,000. A lot of college kids and young people just can't afford that. A friend sent me a link to another tiny house company, and I saw that thing and I was amazed and I was hooked. I was like, someday I'm gonna build a tiny house. They're built like a house, but they're on a trailer. So they share some things with RVs, but they share stuff with houses, and they're in this weird little in-between spot. I'm trying to balance all these features and also make the space as usable as I possibly can. Minimal footprint, flexibility, affordability, unique design, handcrafted. Some people have built their own. If they scrap for materials and used everything, I've seen them as low as like $8,000 just in materials, and that's not counting their time. Typically it's more like $15,000 to $20,000 is what people spend if they build them themselves. On the pre-built side of things, they usually, you see them for about $45,000. This house you're looking at behind you, that's actually for sale for $27,350. So we're looking at the outside of the Boulder model right now. Owning more, having more money, having nicer cars, having nicer houses, it's a completely American creation, really. If you go to other countries, especially third world or poor countries, you see that they have a lot less and they're actually happier in life. Because for me, and most people that decide to go this route, they find the same thing is true, that owning less is freedom. Going tiny is really a great way to sort of accomplish that goal. If you feel like you have too much or your life is cluttered, or you're just, I don't know, you feel like you're stuck in the rat race. This is part of the rat race is so you can buy bigger things and nicer things. But when you realize that you don't need those things, you can go to a simpler life and just enjoy your life more. Anywhere that you can gain an inch, half inch, even a quarter inch, you do it. Some driftwood I found down by the river, and I plugged in some LED bulbs to it. You do this little check, people call it. So you look at an object and say, have I used this within the last X amount of months, 6 months? And if you say, no, I have not used this in the last 6 months, it's gone. you get it out of there. You don't need it. You think you might, but you really don't.
So if you want to buy a tiny house, you can reach Parham at RockyMountainTinyHouses.com. Next, we welcome Dan Olson, the new Executive Director for the San Juan Citizens Alliance. Dan will be speaking at the next Durango Chamber of Commerce Lunch and Learn on March the 26th at the First National Bank of Durango. He has worked on climate change mitigation and adaptation for Fortune 500 companies for more than 14 years. Welcome, Dan. Good to see you.
Good to see you as
Thanks
well.
for coming out.
Absolutely.
So, new to the job, what are you, 6 days in now, I think?
Yep, 6 days.
All right. So, this is your first TV interview, I'm sure, in the first 6 days?
It is. You caught me first.
All right.
It's an exclusive.
Good. We like to get the scoops. So, give us a little bit about your background. I think you're definitely qualified for the job, and I'd love for everybody to understand what your background is.
Yeah, sure. So I spent about 14 years working in green business in various capacities. I worked in the university sector at Harvard University. Moved from that, actually moved out west, was living in Jackson, Wyoming, and did a lot of small and mid-sized business consulting around green business practices. And then when I moved down to Durango, I actually hooked up with a firm here. It's based out of Spokane, Washington, but it has a little-known office here in Durango called Ecova. And Ecova had a great opportunity to work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies on developing their kind of green and sustainable business strategies.
Great. I won't ask you what's better, Jackson Hole or Durango.
I tell you, it's Durango.
There you go. That's the right answer. So the new role, what drew you to it? I mean, how'd you end up in this role?
Sure. So my work at San Juan Citizens Alliance really is an outgrowth of the work that I've been doing over the course of my career. I've been drawn to a lot of opportunities that create an opportunity to really maximize the environmental, economic, and social benefits. So looking at how does business and environment and kind of social community needs come together. And working for the last 6 years at Ecova, we worked with a lot of big businesses on some really influential green business programs, and they have a big impact. But I think what I was dismayed by was the lack of kind of overall trajectory change. So even though green business is making some big impacts, to me it feels as if we need a lot more policy action and kind of advocacy action to change the playing field in which businesses are operating if we're really going to start materially impacting issues like climate change.
And you see that opportunity with the Citizens Alliance to be able to really have good policy change impact?
You know, absolutely. I think that this alliance has been around since 1986 and has worked on a whole host of issues related to energy, water, public lands that are really relevant to our community. And I think that the organization is going to continue doing the great work it's done, which is sometimes more in a defensive mode, but also always looking for opportunities to kind of build forward in terms of a vision for our community that's going to help us, again, kind of meet our economic development desires and provide a good livable community for all of us, but also preserve the really important environmental heritage that we have here and serve the communities of the people that we live around.
So this talk you have coming up, interesting topic. You know, I think everyone's still wrestling with understanding what the economic impact is of climate change. I think some of us can see it from a global perspective, maybe a countrywide perspective. But I'd really love to kind of get your opinion on, and maybe this is kind of a bit of a setup for your talk, but really like to hear a little bit about your feelings on economic impact locally from climate change.
Absolutely. I think it's important, too, to put it in the national context just briefly. Insofar as when you're working with really large companies like most recently was Fortune 500 companies, almost all of them report their greenhouse gas emissions and have developed strategies for managing that. And that's really driven oftentimes by the investment community because there's not a whole lot of regulation around greenhouse gas emissions yet. So big business is taking climate change very seriously, driven by mostly investors. If we want to step that down to more of a local and regional level, I noticed that when you get to that smaller scale, I think that businesses have oftentimes done less work to think of how climate change is going to affect business opportunities in any particular region. And I don't think that Durango has escaped that.
Right.
If you look at the possible impacts from climate change, or the likely impacts from climate change, we're looking at issues to water availability and reduced late and mid-summer flows. You're looking at increased severity and frequency of forest fires. These are issues that have a real impact to our businesses, whether it be farming and ranching communities where irrigation ditches are going to run dry, or it be where lots of us live in the wildland-urban interface, increased severity of fires, increased frequency of fires, more communities disrupted by that. So there are a lot of really material issues that affect us almost from an existential perspective. What does our community look like and how do we thrive moving forward? And then there's also the more kind of smaller, mundane issues like very important issues like increased cost to water, increasing cost of energy that's going to be associated with change related to climate change.
Right. So the spoiler alert for the talk is fire and water.
Those are two, for sure.
The big ones.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we really want to thank Dan for being here. If you want to make reservations to hear Dan at the upcoming Lunch and Learn on March the 26th, please contact the Durango Chamber of Commerce at durangobusiness.org. Coming up next, your business updates.
Perfect, thank you. For natural and organic vitamins and supplements and health and beauty products, there's no better place than Nature's Oasis. We offer an experienced staff, nutrition and supplement education, and exclusive products. Nature's Oasis, home to the largest selections of vitamins and supplements in the Four Corners region.
Welcome back to Open for Business. I'm Jim Mackay, and here are our business updates. The Durango Business Improvement District wants your creative ideas to rename and rebrand its seasonal promotions. BID will launch 4 seasonal promotions under the heading of What's Happening Durango. It will keep the holidazzle heading for the holiday season, but it wants new titles for the summer, fall, and the late winter-spring shoulder seasons. Send your clever ideas by March 28th to Pam Glasgow at email at pamg@downtowndurango.com. The Wells Group will present its annual real estate forecast at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, March 18th at the Fort Lewis College Community Concert Hall. The forecast takes a look at the residential and business real estate markets, the potential for sales, and prices. Contact the Wells Group at 259-6680. The Durango Chamber of Commerce Business After Hours will be from 5 to 7 p.m. on Thursday, March 20th at SolarWorks, which is at 434 Turner Drive. Cost is $7 for chamber members and guests. And for more information, log on to durangobusiness.org. Well, that's it for this edition of Open for Business. If you'd like to send a copy of Open for Business to friends or business colleagues, visit us at InsideDurangoTV.com, where you can find this and past editions of Inside Durango TV programming. I'm Jim Mackay, and remember, keep watching. You'll like what you see.
Thank you for watching Open for Business. Tune in every week with Jim Mackay for information about commerce and industry in the Four Corners. Open for Business has been brought to you by First Southwest Bank. We can help you get there. First Southwest Bank. Also brought to you by the La Plata County Economic Development Alliance. Pioneer Spirit, Business Smart.